Welcome to Oracle for Startups. I'm Whitney Durmick, and today I'm joined by Rob Ianelli, the founder and president of Oceanworks. Thank you for being here, Rob.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So can you tell me a little bit about what Oceanworks does and for whom?
Oceanworks is a digital marketplace where we source merchandise and sell recycled plastics from around the world. We started out making products. Originally, I was one of the founders of Norton Point, which was an eyewear business that quickly transcended into my realization that there was a much bigger business opportunity in the space of recycled ocean plastics and recycled plastics in general. And that really was, there was a lack of a B2B platform that was effectively connecting the growing demand for these materials with sort of this archaic and disorganized supply. So we packaged that sort of learnings into what became Oceanworks. And today we're the largest recycled plastic marketplace online.
That's so cool. I wonder, and I want to get this out of the way early, do you ever get tired of people telling you how awesome your company is?
Quite humble about it, but it's a huge opportunity. It's a huge problem. And we're excited to be one of the leading players sort of tackling it head on.
Absolutely. It's such a cool use case. So how big is the ocean plastic problem?
It's incredibly massive. There's a lot of statistics that some in the audience may know. If not, there's about 8 million metric tons of plastic pollution entering the ocean every year. 80% of that plastic material is actually coming from land. So this is very much a land-based issue, just as much as it is an ocean or sort of maritime. And it's pretty sobering that the sort of key data, you can effectively consider 8 million metric tons as about a garbage truck a minute. Just to kind of give you an idea of sort of the breadth of this issue. At the same time, plastic production is at an all-time high. So where we find ourselves globally is in dire need of a lot of plastic, solutions that sort of grease the wheels of sort of this global economy. But at the same time, we have a mismanaged waste issue that has really become so compounded. It's clearly now affecting our oceans, our environment, and a lot of our livelihoods around the world.
Right. This impacts so many people from an environmental perspective, but also from a business perspective. So I'm curious, who are your ideal customers and how do you see that shifting?
Yeah, early on, we had a lot of interest from the apparel industry, which has been at some ways a lot in front of this issue with, recycled textiles. Polyester, naturally is plastic. So by incorporating that into garments, we're certainly ahead of the curve in some ways. But as this market has sort of evolved and as consumer sentiment around single-use plastics begins to increase in sort of shifting, we're finding a lot of Fortune 500 corporations reaching out to Oceanworks because we built ourselves to be very business friendly. At the same time, we can operate in a manner where they're used to engaging with a third party, whether they're outsourcing auditing and financials, or in this case, supply chain services. But really the ideal customer are corporations that are making things. But at the same time, a lot of manufacturers, which are not to be overlooked, are really doing a lot of the heavy lifting, working with these materials, making these products, and really being a key sort of keystone to this whole supply chain. Is you need great manufacturers that are willing to kind of roll up their sleeves. So it's a multi-stakeholder sort of customer profile. And we like being baked in right in the middle of it, adding value to both sides so that, we can create more offtake for these recycled plastics and sort of, create a path that up until now wasn't really, feasible.
Right. And as a startup working with Oracle as part of the Oracle for Startups program, has that connection helped you get any closer to those Fortune 500 companies that are so hungry for what Oceanworks is doing?
Absolutely. Even before we were a part of Oracle for Startups, we were already having meetings with Oracle and the track and trace teams in Silicon Valley. The whole idea that I had early on is that we needed to align ourselves with large technology corporate partners that had the breadth and the capabilities to understand not only what we were bringing to the table, but really also helping validate Oceanworks and really sort of add, additional layers of validation so we could be seen as an integral part of some of these larger Fortune 500 supply chains. And really, at the end of the day, this is about innovation. And I have known for many years that Oracle is at the forefront of trying new ideas, and we very much as an organization embody a lot of those same attributes of pushing the envelope and not accepting things for how they are, and really trying to build them for what they should be.
Great. So, what, if anything, has been an obstacle to your success in this space, and how have you overcome it?
Sure. So COVID-19 was very interesting seeing this sort of almost unravel, at our feet. I had done a really large sourcing trip where I returned stateside December 12th of last year. And there was already a little bit of sort of grumblings about COVID. And I don't think anyone really knew what impacts that would have, let alone in our business, since we are still relatively young in the grand scheme of things. So traditionally, we did a lot of site visits ourselves and could be on the ground in a lot of our supply chain markets. But due to COVID, we really had to rely upon a lot of the technology we've built and a lot of the infrastructure, and part of that being powered by Oracle. We had to pretty much overcome the obstacle of not being able to visit with our customers, our suppliers. But in many ways, it allowed our team to become a lot more efficient and to kind of use this as a tool rather than a hindrance, to use this opportunity as a way to streamline our business so that it can scale faster. And that really came down to using technology as a key asset.
Absolutely. Yeah. Technology really is facilitating the lemonade of the lemons that COVID-19 has provided in 2020. So by the time our video goes live, it will be the new year. And I'm wondering, what do you plan on doing more of in 2021? And what do you plan on doing less of in that year?
Sure. A big key learning for us this year was, we did a lot of volume on orders and kind of, put a lot of irons in the fire. As we transition into 2021, it's already clear that there's a tipping point is either imminently about to happen or will be sort of triggered come January, where this shift in sustainability feels like it's really picking up speed in many of these larger organizations, both for manufacturing and corporates. So what we're really going to start doing more of is automation, and again, leaning more into our technology stack to kind of help streamline our processes. So that's a big push for us in the new year, and we see a lot of benefit for that, both for customers and for suppliers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that combination of the very popular track and trace idea plus more automation is going to be such a key for startups and manufacturing in the future. I'm wondering if you're seeing any emerging use cases for track and trace.
Yeah, I mean, we were actually just looking at another service provider, that's been developing almost like modules that can be attached to shipments. So we're starting to see sort of this reincarnation of IoT. Where in the past, maybe it was you needed to refill your dishwasher jet dry, where now you can apply those sort of key technologies to supply chain services. And in doing so, the costs have really been coming down on some of these applications. So we're starting to see like track and trace is really about trust. And trust is really about mitigating risk. And we strongly believe at Oceanworks, we're really in the risk business. The biggest obstacle for sourcing recycled plastics is risk. So we see track and trace as just yet another sort of powerful tool that allows us to create supply chain visibility, at the same time a documented ledger that can be reviewed upon, and generally speaking, exudes confidence for both customers, suppliers, and all the work that we're doing at Oceanworks. It all kind of ties in. So it's definitely integral for our future. And then that's why we're very happy to be parked in a great spot with Oracle.
Well, we look forward to being part of that future. Thanks for joining me, Rob.
Yeah, thanks for having me.